So I'm half English, half Iranian, and for a long time I was embarrassed to say that I was half English, half Iranian. Why? Well, you've got one country that has a right-wing oppressive government that controls and dictates its people, and then you've got Iran. Political humour, come on guys. Come on, I'll give you a minute with that. I'll give you a minute.
Hey guys, welcome to a new series that I'm doing, Leo's Stand Up Diaries. This is the first episode, probably gonna do one every 6 weeks just to document my journey into stand-up comedy. If you like this content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. So what is this series and what is it about? Well, I've started to go on the London comedy circuit and I'm giving, hopefully in this video, some insight into what it's like. I'm not gonna try and be some sort of guru and say, hey, this is how you do stand-up comedy, guys. I'm just documenting my journey, and I hope that this video shows that as best as possible. Also, it will give some information for anybody that's looking to do stand-up comedy. If anyone is interested in trying it out, then this video will hopefully inspire and give a little bit of information for people to do it. Hopefully it'd be entertaining to watch. I'm gonna try and make this series as fun to watch as possible. So on this episode, I will be documenting my first 5 stand-up gigs. Now, little disclaimer, I have actually done stand-up before, so it's not technically my first 5 gigs. In 2018, I did a number of gigs around London after doing a stand-up comedy course, and just at the time, it didn't feel right for me to really pursue. Right now, I feel a lot more comfortable in myself. I'm a lot mentally stronger. I'm a lot mentally there. My mental health is a lot better. So, you know, looking back, I don't think I was in the right place to talk about things and reveal myself on stage. Whereas now, I'm very comfortable revealing myself on stage, kinky, but it still scares the crap out of me. I'll be honest with you. It still scares the absolute bejeebers out of me. And I wonder if that feeling will ever go away, because it feels like each time I perform, I feel like I'm about to die, which I could well do, which I'm gonna go into in this video.
So my name's Leo. I'm from Manchester. Moved down here 3 years ago to become a famous actor. As you can see, it's not really working out. Had an audition last week for a gay Spanish prostitute. Male prostitute. One line. Senor, want a blowjob? Didn't get it. Three years acting training for Senor want a blowjob. Great.
Why am I doing comedy? Well, as some of you know, I've decided to focus all of my creative endeavors from now on into comedy. So with my writing, with my directing, with my acting, it's all gonna be in the comedy space from now on. And I felt that if I wasn't doing stand-up as well, that first of all I was a little bit of a charlatan, like I wasn't like the full shebang. And then secondly I thought, well, it will help me with my performance and it will help me with my writing, because I'm going to be writing jokes. So I thought, why not? Let's do it, let's give it a go. Since doing the first 5 gigs, my perspective has completely changed. I think that stand-up comedy is its own art form. It is incredible, and I have a whole new respect for the creativity that is involved with stand-up comedy. I have to say that probably before I didn't really get it. I mean, you get so much stand-up comedy these days, and I think sometimes you become a little bit desensitized, if that's the word, to it. And you sort of see it as something that's, it's just a guy talking on stage, you know, what's exciting about that? But when you realize the craft and the fact that it's verbal gymnastics, it's using the English language, using communication skills, body language, intonation, sounds, whatever, to make a room of strangers laugh. I mean, that is pretty incredible, really, when you think about it. And with stand-up comedy, for the first time in my life, it's something that I want to do just to get good at it. So with the acting and the writing and the directing and all the producing, everything else that I've done so far, the businesses that I've had, there's always been a sort of end goal. So with the acting, the end goal was to eventually become a professional actor. The writing, to eventually produce something. Whereas this, the only goal I have in my mind is just to get good at stand-up comedy, to be a good performer. And that's all I really care about, really. I'm not really thinking about having a career in stand-up. I'm not thinking about anything else at all. I just want to get good and feel like in my soul and in my heart that I'm doing a good job. And that's a big thing, you know, to be good at something is a really nice thing to be. So my first gig was at the Angel Comedy Night. Angel Comedy at the Bill Murray is the venue. And it was part of the course that I did. I did a week-long intensive course with Munro. Munro is a stand-up comedy tutor, teacher, coach. He coaches a lot of very established stand-up comedians and helps direct their shows for Edinburgh and for other festivals and things like that. And I really liked Deck. He had a very professorial approach to comedy. He was very much a teacher of comedy. We got lots of stage time and it was a week-long intensive. It was quite slick, quite professional, and everybody that was there, most people that were there, were sort of looking at doing stand-up regularly, which was great for me because that was something that I wanted to do. And when I went to the course, I had no new material at all. And by the end of the course, I had 5 minutes of material ready to go. First 5 minutes, so I could perform straight away after the week-long intensive, which was, for me, job done. I did also do a course 5 years ago when I did stand-up comedy before, and it was with the Comedy School by Keith Palmer, MBE. And that was a good course. But I definitely felt that this one with Deck at Angel Comedy was a lot more professional. It was a lot more for people that were really going to give it a go in stand-up comedy, whereas I felt like the Comedy School was really just for people that just wanted to have a go once. And also as well, the one thing I would say is with this new course that I did, that we got a lot more time on stage and with the mic. From day one, we were on stage with the mic, which is really, really good and really helpful because that's a big part of it, to get used to being on stage, used to having the mic in your hand. And with the Comedy School, this is 5 years ago, guys, so maybe they've changed, but we didn't get to use the mic, I think, till the second to last or last session, which I thought was a bit long, and I think we could have done with more time on stage. But then, like I said, there were a lot more people involved in that course that were complete, total amateurs and really just doing it for their first, because just to get out of the house, I think. So the first gig that I did was part of the showcase, and it was a pretty tight performance from myself. I did pretty well, I think, technically speaking. I did know though that the showcase is kind of a bit of not a fake gig, but it's not the real McCoy. Because I'd done a showcase before, I knew that basically the showcase is the easiest gig to do because all the audience are there to support the comedians that are a lot of the time performing for the first time. They're all friends and family. So it's a nice, easy gig. Everyone was very, very elated after the gig. And I wasn't as elated because I'd had the experience before and I felt like, yeah, okay, it's great, we all did well and everybody did do well, but it's just not quite the real thing. And I didn't have that rush, let's say, from the first gig. But technically speaking, it was my best performance. I hit 5 minutes bang on the head, very tight performance, and I was very happy with it.
So I am single. Is anyone here single? Woo! I'll see you at the bar later. You think I'm joking? God loves a try, it's a shame women don't. So yeah, I'm single, and all my friends, I'm 32 now, so all my friends are in relationships, and I've become almost like a permanent third wheel. Sometimes a fifth wheel. Sometimes a seventh wheel. Sometimes a ninth wheel. Sometimes an 11th wheel. Sometimes a 13th. I could just go on like this for the rest of the set, kill the time.
So my second gig was at Sam Rhodes' Comedy Explosion, which was a really, really, really great gig. And this gig actually changed my perspective on everything, because after this gig, I felt a real high. I was absolutely over the moon. My performance itself wasn't actually that good, but because the night was so well ran, Sam is a really, really good MC. He's a very, very, very good comedian, very experienced comedian, and you can tell straight away he knows what he's doing. It is really 100% his show. It's a really great show, and I would encourage anybody to just go and watch it, just as an audience member, or to go and watch it as a stand-up comedian, because I'd take part as a stand-up comedian if Sam will let you perform. So it was a really great show, great experience. My performance itself wasn't amazing. Let's say it was a bit of a messy performance. Adrenaline really hit me, but it went really well. And this was the first time I experienced what a lot of comedians describe as the wave. It's like a wave of energy. And once you get good, according to Billy Connolly, this is not me. When you get good, you're able to ride the wave like a surfer. And with this Sam Rhodes gig, the wave just came up, just hit me in the face. That was basically what happened. But it was still an amazing experience and a really great gig to be part of. And I think this gig is the gig that's kind of got me hooked, because the feeling that I got after this gig was just, I've never felt a high like that before. It was such a rush, I had so much energy, and I went out all night until about 4 o'clock in the morning that night. It was incredible. To put it as simply as possible, this is why we do it as stand-up comedians, I think, anyway. Even though it was only my second gig, I'm so lucky to have had that taste in my second gig. Because if it had taken me 10, 20 gigs, maybe I wouldn't have had the stamina to do it. And once you have that taste of a gig going well, and you doing well, and the audience liking you, the audience being receptive, it's an amazing feeling. Then you're just chasing that, you know, like a runner's high. Every time you go out, you're trying to get that high again, you're trying to get that feeling again. And part of it, I think, is adrenaline. I think that you are kind of going to a meeting with the executioner, and you're hoping that you can convince the executioner not to shoot you in the face. And sometimes he does, and sometimes he lets you off. And when he lets you off, you're like, fuck, this is amazing, I can live another day. And I think that might be evolutionary where it comes from. There's also the validation and being able to control the room and all of that jazz. And with Sam Rhodes as well, probably so far one of the best technical comedians that I've witnessed. Really great gig, great performer, and I would encourage anybody to go to that gig. I think it's a great, great show. So then I did my third gig, and this is where I bombed. My third gig was at the London Comedy Explosion, I think it's called, and that's at the Lighthouse in Shoreditch. Now, the Lighthouse gig, I'm just going to call it the Lighthouse because I'm not actually sure what the name of the comedy night. I think it's London Comedy Explosion, but who cares? Anyway, so this gig is almost set up to make people do badly. I'll explain. So with most gigs, you sign up beforehand, and you're also asked to stay. So you're part of the audience throughout the gig, so you don't lose audience members. So if 20 people show up, 20 people stay to the end. The Lighthouse is slightly different because you can leave whenever you want to leave. So you can turn up, perform, and then leave. And what happens is a lot of performers just show up. They also as well, you can sign up on the day. So it's not like you have a time slot, or you know, you've had some sort of, most other gigs, you send an email and then they put you on a spot like say 1 or 2 weeks later. With this show in the Lighthouse, you just turn up, write your name on the list, and they read it out randomly. And when your name is read out, you go up on stage and you perform. Now, the one good thing I'd say about this gig, which I think actually makes it a brilliant venue and probably the best venue that I've been so far, complete opposite of what I've just said, I know, but let me explain, is that you can go there to test material and not really care. So I went up there and I performed basically about 60% new material. And I had an experience then as well. Because I'd come off the Sam Rhodes gig, I was quite puffed up, quite confident. I was thinking, yeah, I just come up with 60% new jokes, but they're all killer. Anyway, I'm fucking brilliant. And then I go to the London Comedy Revolution at the Lighthouse, And yeah, I die. I bombed. I got maybe like 2 laughs, and then all the rest of the set that I did was chuckles or crickets. I mean, literally crickets. I mean, some of the jokes that I did, it was like ba-bum, and then silence. It was quite an experience. But like I said, I think that it's a great little gig, because if you can do well at the Lighthouse, if you get a laugh at the Lighthouse, I'm pretty sure you will get a laugh pretty much anywhere. So that's the way I'm looking at the Lighthouse. And as well, it's every Monday night. If you do want to just give it a go without even thinking about it, you can just go sign up. It's not a pleasant gig. I would not recommend it for first-time performers, because it's a tough gig. It's the toughest gig I've done so far. I know I've only done 5, even including the ones that I did in 2018. This by far, the Lighthouse, is fucking hard, because it's just set up for comedians to fail, because you're losing audience all the time. As well, there's an atmosphere in there, which is kind of a icky atmosphere, let's say. It's not a very nice atmosphere to perform in. But like I said, if you go there with 20 new jokes, and you know that maybe 18 of them are going to be crickets, but 2 of them get a laugh, then you keep those 2. You know, it really, I think that's why I think this gig is actually a bit of a gem. Okay, so my 4th gig was with Monkey Business Comedy at All About Eve, which was on a Saturday night. It was okay. It was a so-so gig. What Monkey Business is part of is a cabaret night. So they have comedy at the first half of the night, and then the second half of the night they have cabaret, singers, dancers, and then 1 or 2 comedians as well. And I would say that the atmosphere was a bit, it was okay. I think that most people that do go there are there for cabaret, so they're not really there for comedians. They're not in the best state of mind. It was a so-so gig. It was okay. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad. It was a nice though recovery after dying on my arse at the Lighthouse.
So I'm half English, half Iranian, and for a long time I was embarrassed to say that I was half English, half Iranian. Why? Well, you've got one country that has a right-wing oppressive government that controls and dictates its people, and then you've got Iran. Political humour, come on guys. Come on, I'll give you a minute with that. I'll give you a minute.
So then my 5th and final gig that I've done most recently was at Boogaloo. Boogaloo is a pub in Highgate. It's a really nice pub, really cool place, and it's run by, it's called Big Nose Comedy, run by David Lewis. David is a really nice bloke, great MC, and he runs a night, I think, a Wednesday and Thursday. Thursday at Boogaloo and Wednesday at Zebrano in Soho. I'm going to be doing another Boogaloo and another Zebrano for the first time. And yeah, it's a good little night. It was a good night. It was on a Thursday night. I didn't bring a bringer, which you're supposed to do. Notes to anybody watching, bring bringers, otherwise you won't be allowed to perform. I nearly wasn't allowed to perform, but fair play to David. He said, look, I'll stick you on at the end. So I did that, and I was the last one to perform before the headliner, and I did well. I would say the feeling wasn't as good as the Sam Rhodes one, but it was definitely up there, and it felt like a good gig. And it's so interesting how gigs feel, you know, after you come off. I got the high from that gig. I was pretty high after that performance.
My name is Leo. I just want to address first of all what everyone's thinking. Yes, it's true, I have seen The Sopranos a few too many times. The look I'm going for is Scarface if he owned a kebab shop in North London. Gets the women hot, friends.
I've learned a lot so far. One of the things that's immediately hit me is that I understand now why time on stage is so important. Every single show that I've done, every single gig that I've done so far, I've improved a tiny little bit. I've got a little bit more confident on stage. I got a little bit more comfortable. And I would say that the first gig that I did at Angel Comedy Night at the Showcase, yeah, it's a bit of a, I wouldn't count it as a real gig. The ones following have all been real gigs, because that is in front of a real audience. It's in front of people that, if they don't find it funny, they will not laugh. So that was an experience for me. And kind of to sum up, I would sum up maybe 3 things that I've learned so far. The first thing that I've learned is that you never know if a joke is gonna work until you perform it in front of a live audience. Now, you might think it's funny, your friend might think it's funny, a couple of people that you met at the pub might think it's funny, but until you go up on stage and perform it in front of 15 or more people, complete randomers, you will not know if it works. Sometimes it's not the joke, sometimes it's just the way the words are ordered, and you can figure that out as you go, but the only way really you can do it, I think, is trial and error. I'm hoping that as I get more experience, then I'll be able to decipher that a lot more quickly, but for now, I have to just go up and say, hey, here's my joke, what do you think of it, guys? And if they laugh, great, and if they don't laugh, then I cry myself to sleep. Joke. So the second thing that I've learned is that, and a lot of comedians do this, and it actually really annoys me, even though I've only done 5 gigs, I've heard so many comedians saying this, and that is blaming the audience. The audience was shit tonight, the audience was slow tonight, the audience didn't get it, the audience was too old, the audience was too young, the audience was too white, the audience was too middle class, all this bullshit, right? And I think that if you're a good comedian with good material, you should either be able to adapt for the audience, or your material should be strong enough that it should statistically work with every single audience. And I've had conversations with comedians that have done 100, 150, 200 gigs, and they're still blaming the audience for having a bad gig. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, well, mate, you've done 200 gigs. Maybe it's your material, maybe it's you, or it could just be the audience and I'm completely wrong. But this is the feeling that I get so far. And one of the comedians that I met on the circuit so far, he put it in a really, really great way. And he said that blaming the audience is like a football player blaming the crowd in the stadium for not playing well. And I think that is kind of what it's like, because if you say to the crowd in the football stadium, why are you not cheering? They'll say, well, if you bloody played well, we might cheer. And it's that sort of thing. And I think good comedians, no matter what, will be able to get a laugh out of an audience. And I think blaming the audience is just a waste of time. So the third and final thing that I'm going to put in this to sort of finish up what I've learned is going to be that I'm going to say that bombing isn't that bad. And what I would say is try and record every single thing that you do. That's what I've been doing, because then when you listen back, sometimes you're surprised, oh, actually it didn't go that well. I thought it was a lot better. And that's what I found with the most recent gig that I did at Boogaloo. It felt really good, but then when I listened back, it was like, it was okay. I didn't kill it, but it felt good. I think it's the same with the bombing. And I think what typically happens is that you will have laugh, 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 big laugh, 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 big laugh, 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 big laugh when you do well. And when you do badly, you'll have laugh, 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 no laugh, 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 no laugh. And it's just the slight difference there in a laugh versus not a laugh, which makes you think, oh, it was terrible, versus, oh, it was really good. When you look at the average, you're probably about the same. You probably got about the same. It's just those peaks went down instead of going up. That's what I felt like anyway. And bombing, it's not that bad. And when you watch back or listen back to your performance, you can see, oh, actually, it wasn't that bad. And apart from the Lighthouse, most audiences are quite polite, so they will give you a chuckle, even if they don't find it that funny. Which I know in many ways is kind of worse than them not laughing, and you kind of would like them just to not laugh so you can have some honesty from them. But in the moment, you take it. Because, yeah, them not laughing is and that the experience I had at the Lighthouse is quite terrible. But as soon as I did the next gig, I forgot about it. So I think it's just one of those where you just gotta, if you do badly, go up, do the next gig, change your material, and just keep going. And it's not that bad, you know. And I think hopefully I'm gonna become this. The fear never goes away. I mean, I'm still fucking terrified of bombing, but you know, that's just the way it is. So out of the 5 gigs I've done, one of them was good technically, but which was a showcase, but I didn't get the high. Second one was a little bit messy, but I got the high. Third, let's not talk about it. Fourth was okay, and then the fifth I got the high as well. So to conclude, I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm gonna carry on doing this video diary. Yeah, I'm gonna post probably once a month as I do more and more gigs, let people know what's going on. I'm also going to be doing my own comedy night, my own gig, starting from the 13th of February in Dalston at Sui Generis nightclub. I'm gonna leave all the details in the description. All the things that I've described as well, all the comedy nights, I'm gonna put in the description below. Come down if you're interested. We're gonna do every Tuesday night from the 13th of February. If you wanna see me perform, or you wanna see, we've got some great comedians lined up. There's gonna be some really great comedians performing. So for me, the reason I'm doing that night is not to make any money. I'm not gonna make any money at all. It's just to get more stage time and to have guaranteed a spot every single week, no matter what. And that combined with all the other gigs that I can get on the circuit around London, hopefully then I'll be able to do, I want to get to 50 gigs as quickly as possible. And right now I'm on 5. So I'm 10% of the way there. And I've already learned so much and I'm already really enjoying it. So I'm going to use this as well as a means to keep me going. And hopefully people will like this and people will enjoy this and get some information from this. And if you do, and if you are one of those people, like, subscribe and follow, and come down to the gigs if you're interested. Watch Leo's Love Life if you're interested, web series, and yeah, until next time, peace and love.